I was really bored one day, so I spent a few hours setting up this basic emulator machine for the Raspberry Pi. I thought it was really awesome, so I figured I would make a tutorial for how to set it up. First of all, what is a Raspberry Pi? The Raspberry Pi is a super cheap microcomputer that can be used for all sorts of things. For our purposes, however, I used a Raspberry Pi 3, but a Raspberry Pi 4 or a Raspberry Pi 2 would work fine. I would not recommend using a Raspberry Pi 1 or 0, but it should be doable. For this project, you will need a Raspberry Pi, again I'm using a Pi 3, an SD card, a keyboard, monitor, controller, and a flash drive. 32 gigabytes or lower will work best. Also note that if you buy a Raspberry Pi by itself, it does not come with a power cable, so keep that in mind. First things first, you want to plug the SD card into another computer. The software that our emulator will run off of is called RetroPie, so go to their site and download the right file for your Pi. Once this downloads, you will have a .image file in your downloads folder. Now we need to burn the .image file onto the SD card. To do this, I will be using a software called Etcher. So once you download that, you will need to select the SD card you want to burn to, and the image file of the RetroPie that you downloaded, and then click Flash. Once this process is done, eject the SD card and plug it into the Pi and power it up. It should now be running RetroPie. This is also the part where you will want to plug in your controller and set that up. This is a very straightforward process, however, so I will not be covering it here. This is only the first part of the process though. Next, you will probably want to install some games onto your RetroPie. To do this, you will want to get your flash drive. You're going to need to format the drive to FAT32. After you've done that, open up the drive and create a new folder called RetroPie-mount. Now this is the tricky part. Eject your flash drive and plug it into the Raspberry Pi. Boot up the Pi and then navigate into the Quit menu. Select Restart System. The Pi will now reboot. After it reboots, wait a few minutes. During this time, the Pi will be transferring all the system files onto your flash drive. There is no real way to tell when this process is done, but I waited about 2 minutes. Once that is done, unplug your Pi, unplug the flash drive, and plug it back into your computer. This is the part where you will want to download a ROM file that you want to play. Open up the flash drive in Finder or File Explorer, and you will see inside the folder we created is a bunch of new files. In this tutorial, I will be installing Micromages, which is a super cool NES game developed by MorphCat Games in 2019. In the file directory, navigate to the NES folder and drag the ROM file into that folder. We are almost done now. Eject the flash drive from your computer and plug it back into the Pi. The new game might show up immediately, but if it doesn't, go into the Quit menu and select Restart Emulation System. That's pretty much it for this tutorial, but there are a few more things I want to cover. Number 1, the Raspberry Pi. Although it packs a punch, it can't handle every game. I would recommend sticking to the consoles that are shown in the file directory, so no Xbox games, no Wii games, no DS games unfortunately. Number 2, I've had varying results when trying to format a flash drive as a FAT32 on macOS, so if you have access to a Windows machine, I would recommend using that for the formatting process. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching!